Welcome to, hold on, not there yet. Welcome to 5 Minutes or More with Pastor. We're going to look at Psalm 41 here in just a minute, and I hope you're having a good Friday morning. It's weird. It's one of those days where it's definitely overcast, but the sun still appears to be shining through. So I do think we have quite a bit of rain moving in this weekend. So hopefully you can enjoy the nice weather before it gets too crazy. And we're going to jump into Psalm 41 this morning. And as we've been doing with a lot of these larger sections of Psalm, just look at one verse. Psalm 41 and verse 9 says this: Yea, mine own familiar friend, in whom I trusted, which did eat of my bread, hath lifted up his heel against me. One of the interesting stories in the history of our Bible was the story of William Tyndale. As a matter of fact, when the uh, when quarantine kind of started and we were all staying in our homes, one of the things that we had did at the beginning for some part of family devotions was we were watching some videos about Christian heroes of the faith, and one of them was about William Tyndale, and William Tyndale was one of the first people to ever work on translating the Hebrew and Greek Bible into the English language. And one of the things that happened to William Tyndale was that he was ratted out by one of his friends, or somebody that was claiming to be one of his friends, told on him. He was arrested in 1536, I think it was. No. He was killed in 1536. He spent 500 awful days in jail, and then he was actually strangulated and burned at the stake for what he was doing. And on October 6th of 1536, his last words were these: Lord, open the King of England's eyes. Open the King of England's eyes. 3 years later, that prayer was answered in 1539 when King Henry VIII published what is known as the Great Bible, one of the first, basically the first English Bible that there was, which is obviously a biblical forefather of the Bibles that we hold in our hands today. And this was the product of somebody who had somebody that they thought was a friend of theirs turn their back on them. In the Bible, when we read the story of David, we find out that there's a man by the name of Ahithophel who betrayed David. David's son Absalom had an uprising to take over his father's throne, and Ahithophel was one of the people that joined that uprising. If you start to do a little bit of a family tree, it appears that Ahithophel might have been Bathsheba's great grandfather, or no, grandfather. I think if you start connecting the dots, that Ahithophel might have been Bathsheba's grandfather, and it could be that he held animosity towards David all of that time for the way that David ruined Bathsheba and Uriah's marriage. We don't know, but we know this much, that for a while Ahithophel was a friend of David, was a confidant of David, was somebody almost like in David's presidential cabinet that he leaned on. And then one day he betrayed him, and he joined Absalom's rebellion to take over his dad's throne. And this may be what David was talking about here. He says, Yea, mine own familiar friend in whom I trusted, which did eat of my bread, hath lifted up his heel against me. In John chapter 13 and verse 18, Jesus quotes this concerning Judas and his betrayal of him. And so begin to wonder, what do we do when maybe we feel betrayed? Oftentimes when somebody hurts us, we begin to build up a wall of defense. And the next time, maybe we let a close friend in, and they may hurt us again. And we begin to build that wall of defense higher and higher and higher. And we become more callous towards people and towards people that want to be close to us. But rather than doing that, what Jesus did was he chose to forgive again and again and again. I mean, even hanging on the cross, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Down through the ages, followers of Jesus Christ have experienced betrayals. It's unfortunately part of life. Nobody likes to be betrayed. Nobody likes to be hurt. But one of the things that we learn from Jesus Christ is to forgive. And there may be times in our lives where we both need to give that forgiveness and ask for that forgiveness. And I pray that we will, just like Jesus Christ did. And there is no more freeing thing than to forgive. And I pray that we'll be known as people of forgiveness. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you later.